Good evening, everyone. Today, I am going to present to you the George Brown Junior Elementary School as my school of focus in my final project. George Brown Junior Elementary School envisioned itself as an exemplary 21st century learning community whose students are prepared to excel in a complex, interconnected, and changing world. Its mission is to provide, encourage, and support all students and stakeholders to trust in their pursuit of successful college and career pathways through 21st century technological skills and multilingualism to become global citizens. They are passionate, innovative, and collaborative. They are explorers. In this slide, it shows to you data taken from the California dashboard, showing the average distance from standard deviation for English language arts, academic performance, and change level. Although the California dashboard for all students right here indicate an increased or maintained pattern of academic growth in English language arts from 2017 through 2019, it is not true with the students with disabilities test results. So going back to all students' performance, in the third most recent year, there's actually an increase going to 9.6 points in the second most recent year, and continued its increased trend line, gaining 3.4 points in the most recent year, which is 2019. As in the case of the students with disabilities, though, it is not the same trend line. So as you can see, in the third most recent year, continued on to the second most recent year, there is the same pattern of increase. In fact, the students with disabilities gained 39 points in the second most recent year. However, there is an abrupt sudden change in the most recent year, which is 2019, where they lost 16.6 points. And that's a significant decline or loss. And the same thing happened in the mathematics academic performance. So our next slide is going to show you the students with disabilities increase trend line from the third most recent year to the second most recent year, where they have gained 50.5 points, a significant increase. However, in the recent year, which is 2019, as in the same case with the English language arts academic performance, they also decreased significantly 14.5 points. And in fact, the students with the disabilities decrease actually shows that among all the subgroups, this group, the students with disabilities, have actually the least growth or the most underperformance in both academic performance in English language arts and mathematics. So clearly, even if this George Brown Jr.'s school data may seem to show an overall growth in academic achievement of the students, it is actually not a true picture. There definitely is an equity gap among the students with disabilities. And this data actually have indeed provided me with an objective basis to further analyze the school's practice and programs, which may need realignment to support its vision mission. So what is really our main goal? Of course, equity in education especially among students with disabilities, and thereby improving their academic performance in both English language arts and mathematics. Specifically, the school's problem-solving team need to address specific areas of concerns, and these are school priority, teacher collaboration, professional development training and preparation, and parents and family engagement program. Now, why all these special or specific concerns or needs? Well, several factors have been analyzed that contributed to the inequity of education among the students with disabilities. And these are shared vision prioritization, teacher collaboration, academic support, and chronic absenteeism. Well, tonight we're going to delve deeper into each of these factors, how it has contributed or added to the inequity of education among these students with disabilities. Well, as we all know, or as you may know, George Brown Junior Elementary School is a dual immersion school. That means to say that they are the school that encourages students to use their native language while learning English. Or in other words, mastering the English language is not costing the losing of their native language. So you can just imagine how this school has gonna be an influx of students whose primary language is another language other than English. In fact, in the interview with the principal, the trend line of enrollment in their school in the recent years is that there's more and more English language learners coming in, enrolling in their schools. And thereby the school is trying to make sure that it's able to cope with the demands, and they're also trying to make sure that they're reclassifying and exiting these English language learners as much as they can, exiting out of the program. So in doing so, they are actually setting aside students with disabilities needs and support to the sideline. So causing or adding to the inequity of education. So second one is teacher collaboration, where, well, though special education teachers use individualized educational plan, academic support, or academic goals to guide their instruction, it is actually not what is being taught and assessed in the mainstream classrooms as part of the grade level curriculum. So more than likely, even in the pull-out model, the students with disabilities are taught knowledge and skills based on their ability only, as provided, of course, by their IEPs, but which are actually below par with what is being taught and provided in the general education classes. So since George Brown Junior Elementary School special education teachers work in isolation without much collaboration with the regular classroom teachers pertaining to instruction and curriculum standards, the students with disabilities actually receive less quality teaching learning opportunities and experience compared with students without disabilities, since they only receive supplemental instructional materials in the students. Well, in fact, in the section 1450 of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, it stipulates that an effective educational system serving students with disabilities should maintain high academic achievement standards and clear performance goals for children with disabilities consistent with the standards and expectations for all students in the educational systems, and provide for appropriate and effective strategies and methods to ensure that all children with disabilities have the opportunity to achieve those standards and goals, and similar with the goal with the opportunities provided for with the students without special needs. But see, in the general education teachers and the special education teachers, since they are not really, they work in isolation, they're not as much collaborating among each other, they are not in sync with this provision. The special education teachers use IEP goals to guide instruction. And in as much as the IEP lays out all these instruction, supports, and services that kids need in order to make progress and thrive in school, the special education teachers work in isolation, as I have said, without much collaboration with the regular teachers. And so the students with disabilities most likely end up being provided with a supplemental teaching learning activities, which are below par with what is really provided in the regular classrooms. So they have decreased access to rigor in core academic areas, and of course, getting subpar instructional support and learning experiences. So no wonder there's inequity in education among students with disabilities and impacting their academic performance in both English language arts and mathematics. So the next one is academic support. Now, this one has to also relate with collaboration, the fact that special ed teachers are trained even prior to their teacher training program is more intensive as compared with the general education teachers. And these special education teachers also use the district approved and research-based instructional programs. General education teachers receive little or no training at all pertaining to students with disabilities, when these teachers, the general ed teachers, teach all students with a wide spectrum of abilities and needs, including students with disabilities. It is therefore not surprising that general education teachers at George Brown Junior Elementary School may not very well know specific programs or strategies that support students with disabilities. So as a result, students with disabilities are not afforded, again, the high support in instruction and behavior to be able to achieve their fullest potentials. So considering the special ed teachers prior to formal teaching have received formal trainings in their bachelor's, and whereas the general education teachers have a different training, it's more generic in nature. And so without full support as to understanding the needs and learning styles of these students with disabilities, they will not be able to really provide specific needs or, that these students with disabilities have compared with the special ed teachers. So there is kind of like a gap there with regard to academic support, especially since the district, on top of the prior training that the general education teachers are receiving, which is a little less compared with the special ed teachers, the district also are really geared only on providing general education teachers generic trainings, and their isolated training specific only for special education teachers. So there is a discrepancy on the academic support. And lastly, on chronic absenteeism. Well, the data taken from the California dashboard also indicate that there is an increased rate in the chronic absenteeism among the students with disabilities in the most recent year, which is 2019, compared with the other years. So definitely there is the attendance has an impact on student achievement. So because of those things, it also added or contributed to the underperformance of students with disabilities in both English language arts and mathematics. So basing on those identified factors, I actually have recommended certain actions to take for the school to be able to at least alleviate such inequality or inequity in education among students with disabilities. So the first one is reprioritizing programs and initiatives. So it is encouraged that the school would try to review school data so that when they revisit the school's vision and mission, it would actually include all students and reprioritize programs and support to include and affect all students and not just cater to the English language learners, setting aside the other subgroups. So it should all include all students as provided in their vision mission. And it is also imperative that the next recommendation is for general education and special education teacher increase collaboration. So it's also imperative that all teachers in both general education as well as special education departments to include in their MOUs to collaborate effectively and with purpose in order to discuss and streamline resources, programs, and services afforded to these students with with disabilities, aligning to grade level curriculum and standards. Okay. It is the second or the third one is, of course, to not make the professional development, training, and preparation isolated to each department, but instead making it more inclusive to include all teachers in whatever training or preparation they're going to provide, so that they'll be able to cater to all students with all needs, varied needs or spectrum. So comprehensive professional development training and preparation must also be provided to both general education teachers and special educational teachers. We know that general education teachers need support in the areas of understanding students with disability and learning styles, including best practices, resources, and strategies in order to gain the most academic outcomes among those students. And on the other hand, special education teachers also need support with understanding the grade level expectations and manage the demands to meet grade level standards and prepare those students for college and careers in the future. So last but not least, we also work on increasing parents and family awareness on chronic absenteeism. So George Brown Junior Elementary School needs to involve all parents and family in raising awareness on the effects of chronic absenteeism and provide ways and strategies to actually encourage families of students, especially these students with disabilities, to increase daily school attendance. Because we know that good attendance habits begin at home. And it is the parents, family, who ensure that their children go to school regularly every day and on time, especially among students in the elementary level. So when the parents believe in the importance or role that attendance plays in their child's academic achievement, and if they feel safe and comfortable to trust the school and teachers with their kids, they make sure that their kids will never miss school as much as possible. So when the students attend school regularly, of course, academic performance increases. So that's why we need to make sure that the parents and families are actually made aware of the effects or impact on chronic absenteeism on student academic performance. And so going through all the process of identifying the problem or practice and knowing, using the data to support it, including identifying the factors that probably added to the problem and recommendation how to elevate or resolve some issues. I've come to a generalization or realization that Leadership is problem-based. One must be sensitive and investigate the needs of all his or her constituents and the school community in general in the hope of helping to find the pressing problem. Now, leader needs to broaden his or her perspective of the need to consider all factors, including institutional and or structural, including the community factors such as social, economic, and cultural, among others. Once a problem has been identified which contributes to the equity gaps, we have to guide the teachers, provide support, and the school community to plan a course of actions to take and act on them. And because the stakeholders would have found the problem or issue more relevant and meaningful to them, they will feel more empowered to take part of the process. And so people would react more to things that matter to them. So when the teaching and learning communities are empowered, they actually become more involved and more accountable in their actions that will lead to meeting their needs and goals. So equity-driven leadership can easily be distributed, and leaders don't need to ask the community what they can do to share. Actually, the community will assume leadership roles in their field of expertise and take responsibility and accountability to problem solve. And as such, it is best to support the teachers, elicit from them the solution to the problem instead of intimidating or prescribing them the pill. And most importantly, one must learn to reflect and be more open-minded to accept feedback from all stakeholders to help and improve on current programs or initiatives. We have to be open-minded, making sure that each one's voice is heard and valued, and that no program or initiative is perfect. We have to keep on accepting, reflecting, accepting feedbacks, and to effect the change that leaders so desire to attain and ensure teachers' collective support and accountability, we need to build a relationship founded in trust and open collaboration among the workforce and being one with them. And these begin with a clear understanding of the school's vision and feasible pathway to carry out its mission. So leadership, or being a leader, is actually a tall order. A leader is the inspiration for and director of the action. And as a leader, I play a vital role in the lives of students, teachers, and community. And I hold the torch and build a fire from within that causes others to glow brightly. I actually exist as a leader to move my constituents to do the best, extend their own personal limits. And by building upon one's potentials to explore something new, people increase their successes, boost their confidence, and are challenged to expand their potentials. And as a leader, I am able to inspire individuals to set higher goals and standards and commit to excellence. Well, personally, having worked for about 20 years in the school where I have given my best as a teacher, a leader, and stakeholder to earn me grants and awards, and where I have learned varying management styles from various administrators, I felt emboldened and empowered and inspired to take on higher responsibility and higher leadership roles, and not just be content being a classroom teacher. I feel that being a school leader gets me to influence and affect more lives of students, teachers, and families, and the community in general. Hence, I would hope to start off my leadership role as a full-time coach or facilitator in a school or district that will give me the opportunity to apply my management knowledge and skills, and moving on to become an assistant principal in any school district to gain more understanding and knowledge and skills of such role. And in no time, when I'm able to establish leadership skill sets, I will be the principal who can make a positive difference to the entire community. Pursuing my dream of finishing my doctorate degree in educational leadership would also become a possibility, as it is critical to continue my growth and development in this field. So such journey always begins with a school or district that gives me the chance to take the first step to blossom, to be a leader that I am, and ultimately make an impact to the lives of the many and the society as a whole. Well, thank you for listening and watching my presentation. This is Carmelita Arellano. I am an AXA participant for cohort 5. Thank you and have a good evening.